Hello everyone, welcome to Campus 101 examination series. My name is Tijani. Today we'll be looking at a particular topic, party system. This particular topic is one of the most frequent questions in your previous examination. Party system. Now, before we take a look at what party system is, let's go back a little bit to political party. Because political party and party system are like twins. They are like Siamese twins. They can be separated. Now, political party, we said, is the coming together or the formation of individuals coming together in various votes in order to contest for an election, win that election, and gain governmental control. Now, that is political party. Now, party system. Party system is that constitutional arrangement that lays out the guidelines in which political parties are to operate in a state. Party system is what is that thing that is outlined in the constitution of the state, which says or which propagates how political parties should operate in a state, their powers and their limits. That is party system. Now, we now have types of party system, which ranges from the dominant party system to the competitive party system down to the non-competitive party system. Now, we're looking at these three types of party system, their advantages and their disadvantages. Now, the first one, the dominant party system. What is the dominant party system? A dominant party system or a dominant party is a party that has successively won election throughout the years, to the extent that the likelihood of this party losing any election in the forthcoming election is not foreseeable, is not feasible at all. That is a dominant party system. Now, we now have some examples of dominant party system throughout the world. For instance, the Kuomintang of China. In Nigeria, we have the All Progressive Congress, and in the United States, we have the Democratic Party. Now, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of these dominant parties? We'll come back to that, but let's go straight into the competitive party, which is otherwise known as a multi-party system. Now, a competitive party system is a party system in which the constitution gives room for competition between and amongst political parties in the state. A competitive party system could also mean a two-party system, because it's a situation whereby there are two things, competition is imminent. Now, the advantages of this competitive party system. The first one is it leads to sound decision making. A competitive party system leads to sound decision making because we have a series of political parties who come together and deliberate on a particular issue before they can arrive at a particular conclusion. That is sound decision making. Now, followed by wider participation in politics. A competitive party system also leads towards wider participation in politics because there are a series of political parties to individuals or populists who are politically inclined have the choice to go to any political party of their choice. Now, it is also democratic in nature because democracy, which is defined by Abraham Lincoln as government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So it is democratic in nature because people have the right to choose whom they vote for and whom they do not want to vote for. It also leads to checks and balances. Checks and balances, which is known as a constitutional arrangement whereby a particular organ of government check on the excesses of other organ of government. So, in a party system, political parties also check on the excesses of other political parties. That is one of the advantages of a competitive party system. Now, it also leads to a fundamental human right, which is political right, because people tend to exercise their political rights. So that is also one of the advantages of a competitive party system. Now, the last part is it also leads to political sensitization. Now, this political sensitization invariably happens during electionary period, whereby the people are educated on how to vote and how not to vote during electionary period. That is political education or political sensitization. Now, let's go to the disadvantages of a competitive party system. Disadvantages, the first one is political instability. Although a competitive party system has advantage, one of its disadvantages is political instability. Because during in a multi-party system or a competitive party system, there is no guarantee of whereby a political party a single political party system can be or would be in government for instance, let's say a period of 10 years. There is no guarantee because they are multi-party, so any party could emerge. So this also leads to what? Political instability, whereby frequent change in government leads to what? Might lead to slow rate of development in that state. That's that about political instability and frequent change in government. Now, it is also expensive to run. A competitive party is also what? Expensive to run because we have series of political parties. And to this extent, during electioneering period, the central government diverge some particular funds to this political party system during electioneering period. So it is expensive to run. Now, electoral violence. It is the main aim of all political parties is to what? Is to contest for an election, win that election, and gain governmental control. So in this kind of situation, electoral violence is imminent because everybody, all the political parties, wants to gain control in the central government or the state government or the local government level. So electoral violence is imminent or is vulnerable. A state is vulnerable to electoral violence in a multi-party system. Now, forging ahead, electoral malpractices. Just as I've explained earlier on that political parties, their main aim is to gain governmental control. In order to gain this governmental control, they are ready to go to any extent. For instance, over the years, Nigeria's election has been characterized by electoral malpractices, whereby all political parties want to win an election. So to that extent, they are ready to what? They are ready to manipulate election results. Now, the last part is the slow decision making. It leads to slow decision making. Why? Because there is presence of what? Of a bicameral legislature. In every multi-party system, there is always a bicameral legislature, whereby we have the upper chamber and the lower chamber. So, how do this affect the rate of development of a state that practices a multi-party system? Because in a state that has a bicameral legislature, after the upper chamber or the lower chamber might have deliberated on a particular issue, that issue must also be taken back to the other chamber in order for that issue or that policy to be looked into. So in this kind of situation, this process might take time. So that is also one of the disadvantages of a competitive party system. Now, let's go straight to a non-competitive party system. A non-competitive party system is a situation whereby the constitution only recognizes one party. That is, the constitution does not give room for competition amongst the two parties. Although, in a non-competitive party system, there might also be some political parties, but they are not recognized by the constitution. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of these non-competitive party system? The first one is it is very cheap to run. It is very cheap to run. Now, before I forge ahead, this non-competitive party system could also be seen as a one-party system. Now, it is very cheap to run because only one party solely operates in that state. So there is no other party because there is only one party that operates in that state. It is very cheap to run. Now, it also leads to quick decision making. Because of the presence of a unicameral legislature, unlike a bicameral legislature and a non-competitive in the competitive party. In a non-competitive party system, there is the presence of unicameral legislature. So as a result, decisions are made quickly in non-competitive setting. Now, it also reduces electoral malpractices because the numbers of political parties are quite confined. They are not as much as a multi-party system. So there is nothing like electoral malpractices in a non-competitive party system. The disadvantages of a non-competitive party system. The first one is it might lead to the leaders in that party being despotic, or it might lead to dictatorship because we only have one party that operates in that state. To that extent, that party might get power drunk. because the constitution does not give regard to other political parties. So they see themselves as a de facto political party. So that could be at the expense of the state or other political parties. Also, it leads to wrong decision making because because there is presence of one party system. Now, in a situation whereby there is competition between and amongst political parties, these political parties can deliberate on a particular issue and, trust me, can arrive at a tangible and essential decision. However, in a situation whereby we only have one party that's up and that solely decides on what happens in the state, that could lead to a wrong decision. Now, so in conclusion, we discussed about the party system, in which we said is how parties are to be arranged, how they should operate in a state. We now went ahead and discussed about these types of political party. We have this type of party system which ranges from the dominant to the competitive and to the non-competitive, and we discussed about their advantages and the disadvantages. So join me as I cover topics in our subsequent videos. Thank you.